Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steph. So today's video is a little different. The setup is a little bit different. Um, I will be continuing our Bible study on purification, sanctification. But I did want to share this week just some things that God has been revealing to me. I don't think that I've shared this yet, but I actually just started running again. So I've been running for about a month, and I just want to share the revelations that God gave me through running and some things that I hope that can encourage you, either if you're in a health journey or studies or business or your relationship with God. I believe that we can apply this to anything. So, one of the first things, I actually don't even have them on my notes, but I read it yesterday and it really stood out to me, and I feel like there's no way I can't speak about it. But I'm actually reading Atomic Habits right now. I had started reading it and I never finished it, so I wanted to start again. And in the beginning of like the first three chapters, the author actually talks about um, identity and how many times we try to create goals. Um, yeah, we try to create goals. We create our goals and we create different like habits. We want to change different things. But he talks about the importance of knowing who we want to become and like who we are and applying that as our identity. So obviously as Christians, our identity is a child of God, right? But I thought it was so interesting, and not but and I thought it was so interesting how he mentions, like, if you consider yourself, maybe consider is the word, not identify, consider, if you consider yourself a healthy person, you are most likely going to make healthy decisions, right? You're going to say like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna eat this instead. You're going to work out, you're going to go on your walks, you're going to go to the gym, get your workouts, and you're going to eat foods that are going to nourish your body. And I thought that was so important because a lot of the times we do want to create these goals, and we want to, we want to create these goals, but we're only going to fail in the middle of it if we don't come from a place of love. A lot of the times we're coming, even with health journeys, we're coming from a place of shame where we're literally like setting, and I'll be talking about this, but we don't set like realistic goals. We set goals of like, I want to lose 20 pounds. And he even mentions how a lot of the times you can maybe even lose those 20 pounds and like you reach your goal, and that's it. Then some people like gain it back, or you go back to your old habits. So it's important, to consider like, who do I want to become? So obviously we're children of God, that's important. And if you're someone that likes running, you're like, okay, and I love running, I'm a runner. So then as you're considering that, you are then setting realistic goals, accountability, you're enjoying your journey. And I'm just naming some of the things I'll be talking about. So the second thing that I wanted to share was to be specific and detailed with your realistic goals. That could be two in one. So setting your realistic goals. So sometimes we want to be at the end of the journey. Sometimes we're coming in and we're motivated and we're encouraged, and we're like, okay, I'm going to run for an hour. But guess what? You're not most likely not going to be running for an hour, for 3 days of the week. So setting realistic goals, sometimes it's difficult because you're like, Lord, I want to go for it. I want to do so much. But setting realistic goals will only help you, like, once. Okay, so for running, I started the week, I believe I started with 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and each week I increased 5 minutes. So my first week was 5 minutes, let's say the next week was 10, and then I went up to 15, and then I went up to 20 minutes. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be minutes, you know, and these were realistic to me, right? These were very realistic. It was something that I was able to do. And you want to be able to set small goals, or like small wins, which are goals, and wins. They're not small, but you want to be able to do something that's realistic because you want to be able to reach your goal. Um, but sorry, but it doesn't even have to be minutes. So for this week, I actually didn't end up completing 20 minutes. I actually ran a different route, and this route had a bigger inclination. So my goal was, okay, I'm going to run this big inclination and I'm going to stop there. So for me, it was up to 19 minutes. And, the next day looked different. It looked different. It was like it was a different goal. But to me, that was my goal, right? That was my goal. That's like, okay, when I get here, I can walk and continue. And then the next day, it was like, okay, like this was my goal. So let me get up to here. Then next week, I will probably want to go further and see, and see that. So I think like setting realistic goals really helps you with that. So the second one within that was to be specific and detailed. So, in order to be specific and detailed, it's how many times will you be running? How many times are you going to run a day? If it's your time with God, okay, how many minutes are you going to spend with God? At what time are you going to, spend your time with God? Um, Back to running. Like for me, I know that I will not run after 8:30. Like I just know I will not. So I know that I need to leave my house prior to 8:30. The latest is 8:30 because I know that I will not run after that. It starts to get too hot and I'm like, yeah, no. So I know that I need to leave my house prior to 8:30 and I want to, depending on how many minutes it is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let's say 15 minutes. So for 15 minutes, I know I have to leave my house by 8:30 and I want to be able to run 4 times a week. And I say which days of the week. So like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. That's how I will do it. So be specific and very detailed. Number 4, technically, accountability is key. So share your goals with your friends, with any groups you're in, with with your goals with your friends and groups. They actually keep you accountable. I know that sometimes it's hard to um have groups. Sometimes they fall off, but I definitely encourage you. Right now, I'm in one group, well, two groups. I'm sure some of you guys know Morgan Tracy J, and she actually has the Esther Reset, and she also has the Glow Up series. So within those groups, the ladies were able to share, our workouts. We're able to share our goals. We share our weight. We share you know, our current weight, our last weight, how much, we lost. And we also share our foods. We just encourage each other. And honestly, this has been very helpful because, even if I'm not that engaging at times, I know that they're my accountability. So I will share my workouts and what I'm eating, and that keeps me accountable. Where I'm like, wait, I have to share what I just ate. So let me choose a healthier and nutritious meal for myself. Um, yeah, so accountability, you need accountability. And sometimes it's just sharing with a friend. Like share with your friend like, "Hey, I'm starting to run." And some of my friends they're like, "Okay, how's your running going?" And I'm like, "You know what? This week I didn't run as much or this week I did this." You know, I ran and I'm still going, you know? So definitely share with your friends or even if you have social media, encourage people on there as well. I'm starting to notice that yeah, like it's encouraging. Like other people have encouraged me, so I'm like, okay. All right. So number 5 is enjoying the journey. A lot of the times, once again, we want to be on the other side. We want to have lost the weight. We want to have, you know, seen the progress. But it literally is about progress. It's not about perfection. It's about the growth. It's about what is God teaching us in the middle of this. Like with running, like what is He teaching us? Like, hey, you're stronger than what you think. Like you can run more than what you think you can run. It's about it's about growth. It's like, hey, like enjoy the journey. Like learn about yourself. Learn about the strengths and the weaknesses. Like, hey, how are we going to reflect and how are we going to improve in this way? And hey, like when you were in the beginning, you didn't have this, but it's a process. God wants us to go through that process. um yes, because it is about uh internal transformation as well. A lot of the times we want to focus on the outer transformation, or a lot of the times, even with our walk with God, we want to be like, we got it. Like we always want to be on top with God. And yes, there will be times where we are meant to be on top with God, but he also wants to meet us in the disappointments. He wants to meet us in those difficult situations. He wants to meet us in everything. Like even in the shame, when the enemy brings shame or whatever it is, like he wants to meet us there, because to him it's more than the result. It's our relationship with him. He wants intimacy with us. All right. So number 6 is persist when it gets difficult. So a lot of the times when I go running, there are certain times where I want to stop. And one of those times is, or go slower. And one of those times is actually when there's hills, when I'm inclining. So I remember one day, I got to like my goal, my stop, and I was heading back home. So I'm like, okay, let me go back home, and it's a hill, and I wanted to go just like slow, like slow, normal pace, and I felt God being like, mm-mm, push yourself, like go, like give it your all, and I was like, Lord, I am not about to give it my all. Like, it's an incline. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's hard. I was like, what are you talking about? No. And he was like, no, push yourself. So I began and I started pushing myself and I started pushing myself and I started pushing myself. And was it hard? Yes, it was hard. Like when I got to the top of the hill, like I was out of breath. Like I could not breathe. I was like, Lord, this is hard. So in that moment, he reminded me, though, that that's only going to make me stronger. And he also reminded me, like, hey, yes, there are some hills, and I want you to push yourself. I want you to to show yourself, like, hey, you can do this. Like, I've got you. You can do this. Um, and he also reminded me that the like there's hills, but there's also downhills. Like there's a decline, and in those declines you don't have to push yourself. Your body flows through it. So he was just reminded me, like, yeah, in this moment there's going to be like pain, it's going to hurt, it's going to be difficult, you're going to feel it more, but the decline is coming too, like you're going to be able to flow through it. Like when you have downhills, like you just flow through it. Your body is just flowing through it. So yes, persist when things get difficult. Persist when things that get difficult. Like don't lose faith. Um I remember actually watching Overcomer by the Kendrick brothers, I believe. And the dad is coaching his daughter through it, and like I think I remember when there were like little hills or something, like he told her like to go faster, because most people usually tend to go slower during that, but he told her to like go faster, push yourself, because a lot of the times we think like when things get hard, that's when we stop, that's when we go slower, but it's actually the persistence is what like helps us get the breakthrough. Like there's breakthrough on the other side, and sometimes we're like, okay, we want to give up, but no, don't give up. When you want to give up, do not give up. That's when your breakthrough is coming, literally. So my last one is, oh, sorry. So, like those inclines actually help you, help you. Like they train you. Like the next time there's a hill, you actually will do it with more ease. And that's exactly what happened. The next day that I went on that same run, that same hill, like I was able to actually run it with ease. I was like, wait, this feels different. This feels lighter. Like I'm able to do it. And the day before, I was just like, whew, 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 Lord, I don't think I can do it. And this, the next day, like he just showed me, like, no, you can and you will continue improving. And same things with difficulties. A lot of the times those storms, they show us that God has us and we will get through it. And when the next storm comes, like he's like, remember what I did for you then, and you overcame that and you will overcome this. Okay, now I can talk about the last one. So the last one is, if you fall, you don't have to start over. Now, there are times where we will have to start over, right? There are times where we let 2 years, you know, we have to start over. But I feel like this is more for the women that probably, like, let's say we're talking about running. There are times when I feel like, let's see, if I went 1 week or 2 weeks where I wasn't eating the healthiest and I wasn't exercising, moving my body, then I feel like, great, I have to start over. My journey has to start over. And that's when it's not, if you fall, you don't have to start over. You get to continue. Somebody was actually, one of my cousins, was talking to my dad about this because he was walking a lot and he had stopped and he was going to like start again, and he told her, well, I have to start again. And she told him, but like, uncle, like your body has memory. So your body remembers, like your body has memory. It remembers like your movements. So it's like, yes, you're starting on your journey again, but at the same time, like you're continuing your journey, because even though you stopped for a while, it's just a continuance of what you were doing. So in this time, it's like, reflect what didn't work last time. What didn't work? What were the things that didn't work? Like, go back to your goals. If you set unrealistic goals, set realistic goals. What didn't work? Um, mm, sit with God. Ask the Lord, like, Lord, what is it that you're teaching me in this journey? Um, I've shared this, but even like food wise, food can be an idolatry. Food can be comforting for many people, right? And it has been for myself. I can actually, I will testify on this. I will share that food many years, many times has been comforting, where I feel like when difficulties have come, I do go to food. Or like there are times that I still do and I try not to, where I'm like, okay, Lord, like help me in this relationship with you, where yeah, I can, like, there is comfort in food, right? Well, there is no comfort, it's limited comfort, but sometimes we believe that there's comfort in food. But yes, so just reflect on it. You don't have to start over, because a lot of the times you're never even going to start over. If you feel like, oh, I need to start over, you're not going to start. Like, I've tried that many times, and you're not going to start over. So look at it as you continue. Continue what you were walking on. Continue your journey in health. Continue your journey with God. Like, it doesn't have to feel like shame and like, oh, I have to start again. No, continue in the things that you were doing, and allow God to show you and lead you and guide you, and sit with Him and reflect with Him on the things that didn't work. Um, yeah, I think that's it. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching, and I thought this was gonna be way smaller than like a Bible study video, but yeah. Thank you all. See you next time.